So today we're talking about 2026. I cannot believe it's about to be 2026. And here are our panelists, right? We're going to start by doing some introductions because I think we have a pretty awesome lineup here. To start, I'm Kyle Holmes. I am the sales engineer manager, although there's only one of my kind. We will be building it out, but I've been at Streamline for the better part of a decade. I love Streamline and I love our time here with the new family at Inhabit the last several years. So excited to introduce you to everyone. Let's start with Heather.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from sunny Florida here. I am Heather. I'm the Director of Revenue Management here at RevMax. So I spend all of my day in the RevMax system doing revenue management with our consulting team, and I've been part of the team almost 4 years now. So I'm super excited to be here with everyone today.
Awesome. How about Matt?
Awesome. Thanks for having us here, guys. Thanks for everybody coming. I know we're all getting ready for the holidays, so we appreciate you guys being here. I'm Matt Gurley. I'm with the Limbrook team. We do all the payment technology in the space. I've been with Limbrook for about 4 years. I've been in the industry going on 13 years, maybe 14. I'm losing count, but I love the space. Love to work with you guys every day. I'm excited to talk about the future of payments.
Awesome. Mr. Robert.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for letting me join today. My name is Robert Clouser. I am the Senior Vice President of Insurance Sales for Inhabit, overseeing both the Rental Guardian division for short term, as well as the e-premium division for our long term. I've been in the rental industry, both in the short and long term environment for about 25 years now, so I've seen a lot. So appreciate you letting me join today.
Absolutely. David, what do you got for us?
David, I am the SEO director for Blue Tent, and I've also overseen our BizCore brand over the last few months. We work on organic search rankings and trying to figure out the whole AI search thing that's going on Google and getting a pulse on ChatGPT. Been here at Inhabit for a year and a half, but been working in digital marketing for more than 10 years and excited to talk about what's coming up next year.
Awesome. And then, of course, last but not least whatsoever, Mr. Mike Norde.
Thanks, Kyle. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Norde. I have been with Streamline and Habit for just hit 8 years a couple days ago, and I'm the Director of Third-Party Partnerships. So I sign new partners, integration partners, and then help them grow within our ecosystem. Great. Excited to be here.
And much like Eric Spolstra, Mike started as a video coordinator for us, and now he's a director on partnerships. So it's been an awesome ride being next to you, my man. All right, so let's kick this thing off. The agenda. This is what we're going to be talking about, right? First, let's start with revenue strategy, what's going to separate the top performers in 2026. And then kind of a big topic, right? AI, integrations, operational efficiencies. Then we're going to look at, payment fraud, guest experience expectations. That's an ever moving target to hit. And then, we need to talk about risk protection and overconfidence. And then finally, OTA tightening, privacy shifts, new direct booking realities, which David just blew my mind on when we were practicing for this. So I'm really looking forward to that last bit. Finally, we'll go with QA. If you guys think of a great question, just go ahead and type it in and we will hit it on that last step. We've also prepared, and thank you for y'all doing this, by the way. When we invited everyone, we asked you to ask a question beforehand. So what we did was take some of those questions and went ahead and answered them. So we'll be doing that as well on our agenda today. So let's go ahead and dive in. SDR trends. This is kind of a question for the whole panel, right? What are signals to watch for in 2026 as we look ahead? What are the main indicators that we need to pay attention to in order to change and shape how we operate, market, and grow? Who wants to get started?
I can start us off. I think that 2026 is really going to be the year that generative AI matures or starts to mature. And it's an exciting time to be a part of it. And I think for 2026, it's going to be a great year for the PMCs we serve as well. We're kind of in the early stages of a tech makeover in the vacation rental industry, and PMCs are set to receive many of the benefits of that makeover. AI is going to help increase our speed to market with new features. It's going to help us address tickets faster. It's going to help us with teach our staff and the PMCs learn the system and optimize it. And it's ultimately going to help PMCs save time, generate revenue, and empower their teams to focus on what they love, which is hospitality and relationship building. And I think it's also going to help reduce the fragmentation of the tech stack and help all the software solutions work together seamlessly. It's cool to be part of a company and Inhabit that recognizes the importance of this revolutionary AI shift, and they embrace it from the top down. And one cool thing we're excited about at Inhabit is that we've built a shared AI platform that powers AI development across all our products. So excited to roll that out in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what I think is interesting is, as I talk to a lot of property management companies about AI, there is a level of fear. Like, what is it, like an unknown almost? Like, what can it do for me? Or more importantly, is this thing going to take my job away? I'm a firm believer in no, not in our world anyway, in the sense that AI has helped to augment us, help us make us better. So I think that's a good point there you made there, Mike Norde. Anyone else have anything as far as signals to watch for in the world of whether it's revenue management or SEO or things like that?
I'd like to add a little bit on what Mike was saying around what I think everybody can expect is speed. With Inhabit as a group, and it's a large engineering team that's already really talented, but they've, like Mike was mentioning, built an AI-based platform to help speed development and get product out all secure, all compliant, all fully compliant. But what that means is the features and that you guys are requesting and the new initiatives as we see coming in from the space, they're going to get to you faster and they're going to get to you compliant and strong, not a new untested feature you have to go through and debug. I think that's going to be huge. I'm really excited about that.
In the digital marketing space, there are a couple of key things to keep an eye on. The first is how long are the traditional rankings and blue links going to hold on for search results? And we've seen in 2025 what the impact of AI has on site traffic. On average, a lot of sites are seeing drops of 20 to 25% in site traffic year over year. And that's mostly from people going to blog pages. Those people are staying on Google, but now we have to wrestle with a reality where we're not thinking about ranking, but we're thinking about visibility, citations, whole new digital marketing metrics. AI is also becoming a part of Maps features. Google started rolling out AI mode into Google business profiles within the last month. And so AI is going to be handling a lot of questions about different businesses, and we have to wrestle with the effects there. And then one thing that I think doesn't get talked about as much as the shifts to ChatGPT on the organic side, but it's also when and if ChatGPT is going to start leveraging its ads capabilities. Ads are the lifeblood of Google and have been for some time, and ChatGPT's subscription model is not going to keep it going forever. They need to run ads, and that's a whole other paid ads mechanism that you could take advantage of, but we have to see if that's really worth the investment yet.
Very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and I think, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go
I was
ahead.
just going to say too, when it comes to revenue management, 2026 is going to be very similar to what we've seen in 2025 with the trends, but a lot of the AI coming in is really going to help automate a lot of the things, kind of like what Mike was saying, be able to automate some things to free us up to do some other analytical deep dives and things. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
And then I'll just add my 2 insurance cents. Being a blue chip type of environment, insurance does not change all that much, right? Insurance is just mitigating your risk. However, with a compound annual growth rate expected of about 9.5% year on year in the travel industry, plus what we're seeing as far as a single-digit increase on travel insurance being purchased by the guest, I would anticipate that we're in for a year that you'll see kind of an increase in the consumer's behavior of wanting to make sure that they're insulating themselves from the unexpected that could occur, which I'll touch on a little bit later.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Next up, kind of important subject, right? Revenue strategies. This isn't something that I'm kind of passionate about. I think revenue management is not a rocket science, but it is a science that we could, pretty easily learn, right? You don't need to go get a degree on revenue management. So it's a pretty easy thing to learn and then make a giant impact or significant difference in your bottom line or company or role that you're working in as you watch this webinar. As this becomes more granular and like real-time pricing becomes the norm, which it kind of is with, as Mike said, the technology in our space, we have a lot of great revenue management tools, a lot of AI into our tools already before AI was cool. RevMax has been doing its thing, but what are our thoughts here as far as like what we should be paying attention to? What's going to really separate us in 2026? Obviously, we're all going to do the real-time pricing and things like that, but what else do we got?
I'd love to start this by saying that the ones that are winning it, they're the ones that are proactive instead of being reactive. In 2026, it's going to be all about, getting ahead of everything. We're expecting to see the same type of the booking windows. Our booking windows have been getting smaller the last few years. So we're expecting the same in 2026. We're also expecting to see, there's going to be some minimum nights changing as well. Where we used to be able to get those 7-night stays, we're not going to be able to get those as much. So it's really going to be a matter of watching what is your market doing? What is the booking window like? Making sure that we're not discounting too early. I know a lot of times people think dynamic pricing is just lowering the rate and discounting it. And it's really about watching what's the demand in your actual market. And we do have World Cup coming to the US, so I'm pretty excited about that for a lot of markets for June and July. So really watching that and seeing that pick up. The one thing about it too is that, you might not be hosting the World Cup, but people might be coming to you because maybe they're not going to those cities like they normally would. So lots of exciting things for 2026, but it's really those that are going to win it are all about watching what's going on in your area and making sure that your length of stay is where it needs to be and your pricing rules and really just staying on top of it. You can't be static and set it and forget it in 2026.
I love it. And yeah, the World Cup is a big deal. I mean, it's not a huge deal to most Americans, but it is the biggest sporting event in the world.
To me, Kyle.
Well, I know, like a soccer team here, but it's interesting too. I was reading that, of course, these games are being held in major cities across the United States, right? But hotel rooms are like $3,000 that are normally like $165. It is ridiculous what the pricing is
Yeah.
currently in the heart of these cities. So if you're a drive-to destination connected to one of these cities, I think you need to be paying close attention to what you're doing already. The games were announced and people are making their plans, if not already.
Yes.
And these fans are fanatical, huge fans. So they're willing to drive an hour or two if they can have cheaper places to stay. So something to think about. I think that's awesome.
Kyle, one thing I would add in terms of revenue strategy will become better ways to monetize the guests. Kind of everybody jumped on the early check-in, late checkout bandwagon, but now again with AI-driven data and product and partner solutions, I think PMCs are going to become more empowered than ever to capitalize on what I see as the next gold rush, and maximizing revenue through the guests and improving the experience will become easier, as well as getting repeat travel through those strategies.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When I was a property manager, I said I'd been here a while, but for about 9 months, I left and became a property manager, and I have a whole newfound respect for what we're doing day in and day out on that side of things. But I was just completely surprised with every single guest I had was willing to spend more money to improve their guest experience. So I couldn't agree with you more. AI could help us out in revenue strategies. This bleeds into that as well, as far as, making sure we can squeeze everything out of them. And they're willing to spend. It's not like you're really trying to sell hard here. They're on vacation. They want to have a good time. They want to maximize their experience. They're willing to spend for it.
Yeah. I would say on the marketing end of things, email is the most important to maximize those revenue opportunities during the World Cup, because you have an opportunity, like a very specific window when there's this major event that's going to be going on, and putting together really well-targeted key email campaigns for different types of services or different types of experiences that you may be offering during that window can be highly effective. And especially if you have the ability to link to where somebody can conveniently add that or purchase that, it's a very unique marketing opportunity during this window, even after the guest is booked.
Especially after the guest is booked.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Next up, AI. Integrations, operational efficiency. So essentially, what's next for AI? We already kind of touched on it, but adoption is speeding up. PMCs are expecting more unified, all-in-one workflows. What innovations or process changes do we predict will become sort of standard in 2026 versus what was even on the radar 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I think I just discovered ChatGPT, maybe 3 years ago at this point. But I was just trying to get it to, write me a cool message to let my wife let me go golf or something like that, right? Nothing as far as advanced as it is today with, actually helping us out with business practice. And it's just all over the world now. What do we have here?
I think this one's me to start. That's quite the interesting use case. I never thought of using it to convince my wife that I should golf, but yeah, what a crazy year in partnerships. I think I interviewed probably 25 different AI guest messaging platforms. And of course, that's kind of like the low-hanging fruit when it comes to AI. But AI, there's so many things in partnerships that are exciting, and AI tech-driven partners are joining our ecosystem and offering a variety of ways to improve operations and guest communications. Plus, the organization, as David mentioned, the organization of data to power their marketing. So partners like Adaptive, Conduit, Bookings Cloud, Best AI, just to name a few, are really helping us rethink all aspects of our business. And all of these solutions are going to begin to gel together along with our base technology and our own product advancements. And so we expect PMCs to improve in all aspects of their business. And one quick shameless plug, tomorrow, Justin Dahl is hosting a Streamology webinar, and he's going to be talking about some of the great things that Streamline is rolling out on the product front, on the AI front. And he's going to showcase our really thoughtful approach to how we're implementing AI internally and the way we're working with PMCs directly to prioritize what we collectively think are the needle movers. And the beauty of AI is that it will make the hard and tedious stuff easier while amplifying the importance of hospitality and the human connection, which is really why I think most of us are in the industry. And Kyle hit upon it earlier, using AI will become as natural as using the internet was 25 to 30 years ago.
Yeah, great point. And yeah, just to be clear, right? Everything that Mike mentioned as far as our partners at Streamline, this is AI that's available to you today, right now. So dive in, look in your marketplace to see that AI tab and learn about these. Not to mention Streamline has things built into it already. I saw the plans for what we're doing next. It is super exciting. AI is going to completely change the experience in Streamline for sure. David, I'm going to put you on the spot, my man. You kind of blew my mind as far as what AI can do through bookings. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Mm-hmm. So there are some big shifts in the organic search world that are going to make it important that you understand the different touch points in the customer experience. So if you look at any marketing report, and this includes ours at Blue Tent, we do what's called a session-based attribution model for a booking. So somebody comes to the website, during that visit, they make a booking. With AI, people are doing even more research off of your website than they do today with Google searches. And they're having a conversation with the AI to learn things about the area so that your articles, your blogs, all of that information is not providing the same type of value to your website as it did before. And the big impact that has is Google wants to keep people on Google a long time so that they can sell more ads. And they've already introduced sponsored results into AI. They've made it harder to tell the difference between the ads and the organic results. And you will see ads start to do more of the heavy lifting inside of Google than they're even doing currently. Organic search tends to get a lot of the credit in a marketing report because what do people Google when they're finally ready to do their last part of the booking? They Google your property management company's name. So we see ChatGPT starting to make a similar shift where they are testing out ads. They want people to start running ads in ChatGPT so they can make money. So how you do your ad spend and what you count as success is going to change as AI because there's going to be a lot more interaction with the AI before a person even hits your website in the future. The question that we're going to be paying attention to, and that's going to be something that you should talk with your marketing agency or be talking about it with us, is will the traditional blue links, which drive a ton of clicks to websites, continue to exist? I think they still will in 2026, but the value of an AI overview is going to be that much more critical. And so you'll have to invest in content development. You'll have to invest in probably some digital PR and seeing how your brand is being mentioned off the website. And you're going to have to make sure that your website is fast because engagement sends a high signal to these different AI platforms. All of these things are just developments of what Google's been doing for a long time. But the user experience and how the guest comes to your website is going to shift. And you may see some new metrics in your marketing report, and what you count as a successful visit will change in the future. And I'm really excited to see, how we're able to measure that and how we're able to, communicate, value to our clients.
This might be a crazy question that I'm just not wrapping my head around. How could we go away from blue links?
Because Google wants to. They are already.
They want you to stay there. Okay.
Yeah. So Google is Sundar Pichai, who's the CEO of Google, has said that their AI mode, which is their answer to ChatGPT, that some searches in Google will just take you directly into AI mode and bypass the traditional search experience. And They're doing some of this inside of Google Maps right now, where they're introducing the AI mode there as well. So they clearly want people to use AI instead of the traditional blue links. It's just how long will they keep it around for? I could see it lasting for the rest of the year, but they've hinted that this is the future of search.
Wow. Okay. And then, yeah, you also blew my mind that through certain platforms, you can actually book reservations now, right?
That's correct. So Booking.com and Expedia have integrated with ChatGPT, and if you type in Booking or Expedia with your prompt, it will surface results from that platform in a unique, customized experience.
That's really cool. Something similar to that, we do have AI, Leo, the AI bot currently, that's like sort of a real time, or what do they call it, as far as like real language. So I can just go to your website and type in, let me find a beachfront for this date range with a hot tub, and it'll give me results to click on and hopefully book. So that's some good stuff. Does anyone have anything else to mention? I'm going to give you about 3 seconds just so you.
I'll just weigh in just really on the insurance.
Perfect. Yep. Let's go.
When it comes to the AI piece, while we're not seeing it today, right, you start to look into the future as to what impacts it'll have, and it's really going to be basically your dynamic pricing models, which will continue to evaluate risk associated with that particular stay in that location. Again, not there yet, but it's going to come, as well as, what you're seeing from a claims processing standpoint, right? You'll have better visibility into what statuses are as that is making its way through the process. So that way, hopefully, we can get to a payout of what is owed a lot faster in that environment as compared to where we are now.
Yeah, I feel like AI can help, guests understand what it can really do for them, right? Especially when it comes to insurance.
Exactly. I mean, insurance is a little bit, it can be a little complicated at times, right? So helping streamline, especially for the guests themselves to understand the benefits of what they will receive for the value of what we're providing. Again, it's a huge opportunity that we'll see a lot of change as we move through the next probably 3 years.
Yeah, naturally, I love you, Bob, but the word insurance, if I buy something and you want the insurance, naturally, I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I don't want that insurance.
I
But
know. I'm
I'm
like,
going to be honest, y'all. If you look into what it's offering, it is super beneficial. And that's why a lot of people, once they really learn what you're offering there, Bob, is they're taking you up on it because, the kid makes the all-star team. You don't have to lose money and, weather permitting, all kinds of things. I'm clumsy. I just spilled some wine accidentally. I don't want to pay for the $600 rug now, all kinds of things. Next up, payments, fraud, guest experience expectations. What should we really be, as far as like other than normal preparations, you already know what you're doing as far as these things, but what's sort of the new frontier, right? And obviously, Matt, this is yours. You're our payments guy. I'd love you to start with, and again, this is just me personally, what I want to hear on this demo, I guess, or this panel. The numbers on digital wallets are started just blowing my mind. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so if you think about the future, right, looking into 2026 and going on, and for those of you that don't know what digital wallets are, there's a lot of names for it. Digital wallets, mobile wallets, click to pay. It's when you hear digital wallets or any of those terms, think Apple Pay, PayPal, Venmo, and financing solutions like buy now, pay later. We've been tracking this data for a long time, and the payment industry has been forecasting for years now. I think I've done 4 or 5 different sessions of VRMAs on this over the years, and the trends keep following those predictions. Is that more and more frequently guests are going to be abandoning using a traditional credit and debit card and focus mainly just paying through a digital wallet experience. There's 2 reasons they do it. The lesser reason is security. As somebody that may be worried about entering their credit card data online, or maybe on an unfamiliar website they don't know, like your direct booking website, they might not be excited to enter, their credit card information on a brand they don't know, and they pick these wallets for trust. The core reason they do it is speed. I like this example that my colleague Chris Savino, who many of you probably know and love, uses. He works in his basement, and he often leaves his wallet on the second story of his house. So if he wants to buy something, he usually has to walk upstairs and pass multiple kids, dogs, a wife, bunch of chores to get to that wallet and then make it back down to purchase. But with PayPal or Apple Pay, just clicks a button and it goes through. So what we continue to see is the shift of more and more guests booking through a wallet experience versus a debit and credit card experience, where we're working to help make that a reality. If you look on, I think this ties really mainly into our desire for a larger direct booking movement. We want more and more users booking on your site because we want people to feel as trusted on your site as possible, paying with familiar methods. But we want the experience to feel a lot like booking on Amazon or Booking.com or Airbnb or Expedia. When you're purchasing on those big major, Fortune 500 companies, you don't even really see the credit card option, and it's at the bottom. Right? You're prompted to finance, you're prompted to click and pay through these wallets. And when you look at the conversion metrics in those companies, it's usually already 60% of all transactions go through a wallet method over a credit card method. And within our industry, there's so many different fragmented pieces that we have to build to wrap together. We have to integrate with every website company that you guys use to help control that guest experience at checkout. We have to integrate with every PMS company that you guys work with to make sure the accounting reconciles. And we've been doing that over the years. We currently work with all BizScore and Blue Tent websites. That includes Q4 launch. And then we've also launched a beta right now with IC&D, and Real Text beta is going to start on January 15th. And that'll include Apple Pay, PayPal, Venmo, and buy now, pay later upfront. If you look at the statistics too, the average person booking is Gen Z or millennial now. They tend to travel 3 times a year, where the average, of any other generation is 1 or 2 times a year. And when you look at the use of spend on how they manage their payments, it's all towards these wallets. So we are working really hard to get that in front of your guest, in your guest experience, to make it easy. And the perks for you, we hope for a better click-through ratio, so search to book ratio. That's what most OTAs spend millions of dollars researching, trying to do, is how fast can I get somebody from clicking to booking, from search to book. That's what we want to help with there. And we want to instill confidence in that cart. So buy now, pay later has been really big for that. We're working with a web provider to actually bring that sooner in the search funnel so that users know that they can finance. We're talking about that $3,000 hotel room, Kyle. We want to make it so that when they're searching and they see that price tag, that there's an offer to split it up across a couple monthly payments to make it a bit easier, so that we get there. That's what we're working on in 2026, what you should expect.
Awesome. So speaking of fraud, right? Like if I'm a fraudulent guest, it's not as easy for me to be a fraud, but I think the property management company is just as worried about fraud. So tell me about mobile wallets and the percent of fraud that, people are screwing you.
Yeah, so we've had PayPal, Venmo, and Pay Later up for about 1.5 years now. We've processed millions of dollars of volume through it. You still get your normal, I know not as described chargebacks, those kinds of disputes. Those are the lesser frequent chargebacks anyway. But we haven't seen any fraud chargebacks. When you're checking out with the PayPal or an Apple Pay, if I bought something on Apple Pay on my phone, I'm scanning my face, right? That's hard for a fraudster to fake. When you go through PayPal, they're doing your basic 2FA, checking your IP address, they're doing a lot of stuff on the background to verify identity, but you have to physically log in and it has to be your account and they have to pay. They also take a lot of that liability as well, especially if they're financing with Pay Later. They take full reliability in collecting that money and pay in advance. So those are nice too. When it comes to what to prepare for and what we're seeing, every year fraud is getting worse. And candidly, AI, this is the downside of AI. It is easier than ever for me to Photoshop a license. Is easier than ever for a fraud ring to launch a phishing campaign. All of us, David, too, it's easier and easier and easier to do these email campaigns and ad campaigns and come up with new verbiage and new tricks and try out A/B testing. AI is making that easier and easier, and these fraud rings are doing the same thing to try to get into, your potential guests' sensitive data, and steal cards and steal identity. So what we've been working on, we have 2 products out now. We've had AI-based fraud prevention out for almost 2 years now. We call it Guest ID. We're scanning through public phone record data and comping it against your credit card data and your reservation data within minutes of a booking. So guest books and they pay within minutes. We have their access to their public phone records, and we're verifying whether they're real or not. A fraudster, they can fish a picture of a license and trick you with it. They can Photoshop an ID and trick your team. We see that daily at this point. But what they can't do is fake a phone record. I'm pulling this right from Verizon or AT&T or whoever. They can't get that data. It's secure data. And we're able to analyze it and then give you a result. We score them to give you a trust score on whether we think that they're a trustworthy guest or there's some productivity going on. And that has helped prevent hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in chargeback to this point. We've done hundreds of thousands of fraud scans. But what we're doing, we have 3 customers in beta right now. We are testing and making sure that everything's working perfect before we do a general release. But hopefully, as soon as January, we'll have this available for everyone. Lynbrook Protect is out. Lynbrook Protect goes past that basic identity to a face scan with a phone check. We're also looking through and looking at this actual user's activity, right? Are they somebody that just frequently files chargebacks? Are we somebody that are we seeing this person gaming the system? Are we seeing this card relatively new? We're using AI to find a lot of other risk factors. And on top of that trust score, we're slapping on a guarantee. That guarantee is actual reimbursement promise. So we will scan a guest, tell you if we think they're fraudulent or not. And if we don't think they're fraudulent and they file a chargeback and win anyway, Lynbrook will pay you out. We will pay for that loss. That's our new Lynbrook Protect program. We announced it at VRMA, got plenty of people to join the beta, and we should have full general release here in January.
That's amazing, man. All right. Amazing stuff going on in the world of payments. It's like to me, it's like a win-win, right? Like as a consumer, I was in love with Apple Pay when I was doing my Christmas shopping the last couple of months. But then it's just as safe. And yeah, you guys are doing some good stuff. So yeah, speaking of risk protection, that is some good protection right there. But moving over to risk and protection and owner confidence, right? What will protection look like in 2026? Insurance is becoming more dynamic, like we've already touched on a little bit here. But what are, property management companies who are looking to protect themselves, how can they do so with minimal effort? And then, yeah, go ahead, Bob, if you have anything.
Yeah, I mean, the minimal effort is just, isolating into one provider, right? You don't want to have several different that are in place because it creates complexity for not only yourself, but your business and your staff. We are seeing a shift, though, as far as the owner entities really wanting you to carry some type of damage program. So that way they know their asset is protected from, again, the bed bug infestation all the way through to the contents or the wine spill, Kyle, that you had mentioned earlier, right? There could be a variety of different programs out there. You may have it in-house. You may be working with a partner today. If you're in-house, you may want to consider putting a layer of protection that if it goes above a certain claims level, you have somewhere to throw it off on. Right, stacking protection has been common practice in the long-term rental industry for probably 10, 15 years now. I'm starting to see it a little bit more often in the short-term side, right? And again, if this is what they are requiring for you to be able to manage their asset, make sure you have a solid program in place. We're also seeing a shift as far as making sure that the booking itself and the revenue associated with the booking is protected, right? We have travel insurance programs today, whether it's the basic travel, which covers about 30 different reasons for cancellation, all the way through to cancel for any reason, which covers basically everything, right? You have to have, though, the guests select that. So again, you left somewhat exposed in that environment if they don't. By putting a booking program in place, an insurance platform, insurance program, you're giving yourself, again, that peace of mind that despite what the guest has to cancel for, your owner's income is going to be protected up to a certain level, right? So again, these different options, again, it's not new marketplace options, but there is an enhanced focus on this because the guest previously really purchased insurance because of the anxiety associated with a major weather event, government shutdown. They're closing a park because of the shutdown, right? You got some border issues now that are starting to bubble up, right? All these factors are going to continue to evolve. While again, we're coming off of 25 in a year that didn't have as many named storms. We had, I don't think, any direct hits. We had some glances in the Carolinas. And so that may kind of soften the consumer's need to say, oh, I'm going to Florida. I need to get something, right? They're going to feed off of 25 results and moving into 26. Well, again, we'll forecast an increase. You got to get into the right mindset with them as to why. So again, it's going to become common practice place that people just pick it up, not because, again, weather as it traditionally has been, but these other factors that are now impacting our travel environment.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, as far as like owner confidence, I think that sort of backdoor helps, right? Because if the owner knows that you're offering these things and a lot of guests are signing up for the protection, it's protecting their home.
Exactly. Plus you have the little added value that it does produce some ancillary revenue for you as well, which I'm sure nobody will ever shy away from.
Maybe don't let the owners know about that, but it is owner for the company as well. And I think also just to throw in some more sprinkles in here, I think automating communication can make this more effortless. So looking at your guest life cycle of automated communication can help making sure that you're offering this protection and at least educating the guests on what you are offering more than once. Offer this more than once. I'm telling you what, the success rate on the second ask is pretty significant. And then as far as other things too, just random stuff, one thing I talk about when I'm showing off Streamline is the inspections. So you can go to property care, do an inspection, take pictures of that owner's unit, and then send it off, right? When you complete that, it shows up in the owner portal. And if I'm an owner in Arizona and Bob, you're out there in Atlanta taking care of my unit, I can just go into my portal and see the pictures that you guys took like yesterday of my unit. So all kinds of things I think we can lean into to help protect and really enhance the owner confidence there. Anyone else has anything here? How are we on? Okay, we're doing pretty good on time, aren't we? Where are we at? Okay, yeah, I think we're doing pretty good. OTAs, kind of a big deal. Privacy shifts, new direct booking reality. David, I did ask you to talk about this a little bit already. And maybe Mike, you have some things as far as like what our friends at the giant OTAs, Airbnb and Vrbo are talking about. What do we have here?
Do you want to start us off, David?
Yeah, the big risk for any property manager is just making those like lower margins and not being able to, get as big of a return out of the OTAs. And I look at it primarily from the marketing end of things. So first is many people try to target terms and go after Airbnb in their search terms. And, I think that there's less of an incentive to do it now, even though people use Airbnb, like people use Xerox or Kleenex. Most people who are searching for Airbnb or VRBO have what's called a navigational intent, where they're trying to go to those websites. And you want to invest in tactics that are not going to accidentally put in people's mind, let's go to the OTA where I'm going to make less revenue. There's also the value of highlighting the fact that you have the ability to offer the lowest rates possible from a direct booking website. Just about everything that every site that Blue Tent has ever done has a wide direct book page for this very reason. And I think that this makes it like you have the opportunity on those pages to make an even more compelling case for why somebody can book direct than even before, even to the point where you highlight those rates increases and saying that, Airbnb is charging more, and because of that, you are going to pay much higher rates when you go to that platform. But because like you're booking direct with us, you have the opportunity to interact with us and offer the best experience. When it comes to like getting first party data with any marketing channel, the first party data, meaning the stuff that you own or that is collected on your website, is the most reliable data that you can go after. My number one tool that I use on a day-to-day basis to help me understand what's going on a client's website, it's not SEMrush, it's not even Google Ads, it's the on-site analytics. Where are people going? What sorts of elements are they interacting with? What sorts of content is getting the most engagement? And that can help shape the marketing efforts that I undertake. And Airbnb, they pay attention to their own on-site metrics. The reason why they're not integrating with ChatGPT is because they cannot control the user experience, and user experience is key in our industry. If somebody has a hard time finding the industry, if they're not clicking the buttons, if they're not using the sorts, if they're not scrolling through the galleries, they're not booking. And when you're working with an OTA, you have the ability to take advantage of their investment in UX, but if it doesn't work for your ideal type of customer, then you're potentially losing that guest. And by paying attention to your first party data and by leaning on the efforts from your direct booking, you can have a deeper level of insight into what sorts of elements are getting the most interaction, what types of properties are getting the most hits, in a way that you just simply cannot do with an OTA. And so you have both the opportunity to make more money from it, but also you have the ability to gain insights and to make better strategic decisions than you can with data and with information from other sources.
Yeah,
Very good stuff.
and
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, in the industry, there's kind of these two floating schools of thought on AI search. Will the large OTAs partner with the AI search companies through or acquire them, or will AI search democratize and favor our professionally managed units and help them drive more direct bookings? It's yet to be seen. I tend to agree with the latter. Maybe I'm optimistic. But when you think about it, the vacation rental industry is in the matchmaking business, trying to get the traveler the right place, the right type of stay at the right time. And in that relationship, the large OTAs are kind of middlemen. So I think through the advanced data and AI that David's talking about and smart people like him helping our PMCs along the way, I think they're going to have more power than ever to drive the direct bookings. And I also see the rise of importance of our niche channels that focus on very targeted matchmaking purposes like B2B, luxury, midterm stays, and local markets. So we could see a major shift. I know if I was a large OTA, I'd be staying up late at night thinking about this.
Well, yeah,
And
that made my eyebrows raise, my man. It seems like they're clinging on to dear life to keep their clients, but that would be a welcome shift for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
probably going to get some emails after this.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think
one
it
thing I
is.
would also add on the ChatGPT side too is that ChatGPT has only chosen a handful of apps or websites to integrate with so far. So they initially rolled out with 6 or 7, and they're going to be rolling out another 6 or 7 this month. And they've only done 2 OTAs. Those OTAs have made like different strategic decisions because of the ability to like the infrastructure that ChatGPT has built out. And like Airbnb CEO went on CNBC and they said they don't have a software development kit, which means it's not robust enough for them to justify an integration. And so because Airbnb is making that kind of a play into user experience, I tend to believe that I tend to lean with like the Airbnb approach and be like, okay, they know how important user experience is. And so user experience should be important to us, and investing in the user experience in your website is key.
Could not agree more. I mean, I still hear that people are willing to spend more on Airbnb just because they like that booking experience more.
Correct.
Blows my mind personally, but it happens.
Heck, I like it. And David, you got a question in, maybe hit upon that question that you answered directly with the person because I thought it was an interesting point. And you're kind of the leading expert, the SME on the subject. I was just going to say she should look it up on ChatGPT, but
Yeah, the question was, so if somebody is searching for a rental on ChatGPT, are the Booking.com's listings going to show up first? How do we get our listings to show up in a ChatGPT search? So to answer the first part of that, Booking.com and Expedia are only going to show up if you type in their name and it pulls in from ChatGPT's so-called apps. So those listings will pop up and they create a unique user experience versus if you just enter in a general prompt and then you get the traditional, it's hard to say traditional because ChatGPT search has only been around in mass since like the early part of this year, which is crazy to think about. But you get the bullet points with a link to Airbnb, and the Booking.com experience like pulls in actual photos, it pulls in the stars, it pulls in the ratings. We can tell though from like what ChatGPT is going to do based on what Google is doing, because ChatGPT and Google are kind of like mirroring each other's moves. The T in ChatGPT was actually invented at Google. It's called the transformer, and it's not a robots in disguise. It's a way of predicting text. But you have like one thing that Google has done for a long time is it's favored business profiles in its results. Like it wants you to go to Maps and it wants you to interact with the business profile as opposed to going to the traditional result. Well, what is ChatGPT going to do with its integrations? Over time, I expect it to pull in more results from its integrations. So far, it hasn't done that. And I think that it wants to encourage more people to integrate with its forthcoming app library before it starts to affect the ranking or the placement of the individual results inside of its prompts. Now, how do you get listings to show up in the ChatGPT search? Trust signals matter quite a bit. Reputation matters quite a bit. Whether or not your listing matches the intent of the user. And when I say that, I mean a prompt allows a user to add a lot more context than a traditional search does. So if somebody is looking for a 3-bedroom luxury condo in Seaside with a view of the ocean and also close to fishing, that's going to bring in a very specific type of rental. And if your rental doesn't have that, it won't surface. So a lot of it comes down to strategy, but a lot of it also comes down to trust signals.
So yeah, I mean, we're going to get to participant submitted questions here. We're no longer doing well on time. Time flies when you're having fun. I wanted to finish off that thought with the OTAs are still our friends. Now, if I'm getting 80% of my business from Airbnb, I do aim to change that, or I would if I were you anyway. And we already have AI descriptions built into Streamline. It is kind of silly in my own mind that like how much these OTAs like when you change your descriptions. And as David said, if you make it poignant toward your traveler in your market, it makes significant difference. And it's clicking a button in Streamline. So good stuff. Participant submitted questions. So again, thank you all for doing this as you signed up for this webinar. First, market outlook and demand shifts. How do we expect traveler demand, booking windows, and length of stay to shift? Honestly, I think we kind of answered this.
Yeah, we can move to the next.
Yeah, Heather is saying our booking windows are shortening, our length of stays are shifting. We're going to move on to the next one. 6 minutes to go here. Competing in an oversaturated market. This is an interesting one for me. So, I'm in a very high competitive market. As we already said, everyone seems to think more or less we have this race to the bottom in the world of revenue management. How do we stay competitive? In my opinion, I break down our world into taking care of owners and taking care of guests. The better you can really take care of both of those two and differentiate yourself even, try to figure out what they want out of your stay. Even asking them, I think, is important. One of our colleagues just asked a bunch of guests, what they want as far as extra services. And they had their guess, their philosophy or like their guess as far as like what the answers were going to be. And the number one answer was one that was not even on their radar, which was babysitting. Anyone else have any thoughts here?
I think David hit upon it. It comes down to trust and trust of your brand with guests. And if you execute on that, the noise eventually gets weeded out. Not to oversimplify, but.
All right. Owner relations and portfolio growth. How can PMCs keep owners satisfied, increase margins, and grow their portfolios responsibly? Keeping owners satisfied, I tend to think just about a proactive approach. We have homeowner acquisition. Something that we're looking into on the development side is homeowner retention. So just things like your software being able to tell you when the last time you connected with your owner is, how happy were they, what do you need to, call to action to make them happier, whatever it might be. That's something that I would try to focus on. And then as far as margin goes, Mike and I both mentioned it, as far as others too, is, get more out of your guests. But even in the realm of like property care, you can do little markups that can yield to more margins because your margins on just splitting, rent are already so tight. You got to find margins elsewhere.
I'd say too, like on getting more from your guest, I think Scott Leggett, if he was here, would say it best. He something as simple as not only just adding things like early check-in, late check-out, but encouraging it, and I can help with that, can drive a huge bottom line to your business. Like something like early check-in, early check-out, that's revenue that doesn't need to get shared with your homeowners. That's your service, your fee. And we see companies where that's 50% of their profit margin. It's simple.
No, 50% is that's a margin.
That's a margin. Yeah. That wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah.
So it becomes big.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right, next up. Technology, AI, and the future of PMS ecosystems. So what role will AI in property management systems play in 2026? How can PMCs cut through the tech stack complexity and adopt tools that actually move the needle? This is a challenge, right? I feel for clients in our space trying to figure out, VRMA's vendor hall because the technology is vast now. I think it's a good thing because this technology, the vendor hall was not that big when I started in this industry 10 years ago. It's huge now. And we could, I could talk about what we're doing and what we already have, but I'm just going to tease you all and implore you to show up to Justin Dahl's webinar tomorrow. I'm telling you what, AI is significant in Streamline. We already have AI in it. We're talking about that, but what's coming next, I think is gonna be a big deal.
Yeah, I think I hit upon this on
you did. You stole the thunder right away, right at the top of the call, my man. So yeah, good stuff there. Operations, labor, and maintenance efficiency. I think this is going to be a challenge of ours as long as we're trying to clean houses in different areas. It's not a hotel building that's super easy. But one thing that we're building into Streamline is our property care app in offline mode. So when you're in those areas that are remote or not internet adjacent, just not very good on the internet side of things, that can help you out with things. As we have 2 minutes left, real quick, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think part of the AI solution is going to become PMCs embracing it. And I know PMCs on this call are on various levels of adoption, but we're all going to learn together. And so we're going to work back and forth to find best practices, but making sure your team is using an AI tool that may help them do their job. And I think that will be part of the great operations efficiency wave that will come over in 2026.
Perfect. And then as far as regulations, external distributions, things like that, especially with regulations, I would highly encourage you all to understand who Scott Leggett is, who's recently been dubbed the godfather of vacation rentals. He's on our Inhabit team as the regulations guy. He's probably one of the industry's foremost experts on regulations and what to do and how to help and all the things. So highly recommend you look into Scott Leggett and what we're doing there. And if he's ever on a stage or a panel, definitely pay attention. Does anyone else have anything you want to say here as far as insurance? And then I know we literally have less than 60 seconds left. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get to our questions that you guys might have been asking while we're rapping about all this stuff.
Just on the insurance front, real quick, pay attention to your local, your state, and your Fed. We are starting to see a lot more things coming out at the federal level, which is restrictive on, again, I'll go on the long-term rental side right now. There's legislation that is pending that could impact a variety of different factors associated with, again, just the rental industry in general. But again, get with Scott, get with whoever your local subject matter expert is, because this is something that's going to continue to evolve quickly, again, over the next few years.
Thank you. All right, we're out of time. Reagan, real quick, I think this is a good time to talk about, yeah, go ahead.
So y'all have been great about answering the Q&As in the chat. If you have not gotten your question answered, we will connect with you individually. It will not go unanswered, but in the interest of time, yes, come to the Streamology webinar. But also, we are doing another vacation data group webinar on Thursday, January 29th at 1 p.m. So save the date. It's going to be really similar to this setup with an expert-led panel, and we're going to be doing a deep dive into what high-performing PMCs are doing differently in 2026. So get a leg up, scan that code to register, and we hope to see you there.